Hey, what's up you guys? My name is Zeta and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today, I'm going to be discussing with you 10 mistakes that people make when applying to graduate school. If you're new to this channel, my name is Zeta. Welcome. I'm so glad you're here. And I just graduated with my biochemistry bachelor's degree, and I'm currently about to attend a PhD program in immunology and microbiology. So if you're interested in going to graduate school for either a master's or a PhD and are applying this year, here are some mistakes that you need to watch out for when it comes to your application. The first mistake that a lot of people can fall into is waiting until their senior year or the year that they're going to apply to graduate school, waiting until that year to get research experience. Now, I know it can be really hard to get research experience early on. Now, I'm not going to delve into the details on how to get research experience. If you're interested in that, I can make a whole separate video on that because there's kind of a lot of different ways you can go about getting research experience. But my point I'm trying to make here is you don't want to wait until the very last second right towards your application to start getting that experience. You want to try to get that experience at least like a year before. So if you get research experience your junior year and you're applying senior year, that's still okay. But you don't want to wait until the year you're applying to get that research experience. And then if you find yourself in that position where you are about to apply but you don't have any experience, I would highly recommend taking a gap year or two just to do full-time research and actually get good quality experience before branching out and trying to apply to graduate programs. A lot of these programs are going to want you to have experience, and it also will just help you be able to articulate in your application better why you want to go to graduate school, as well as help you personally understand what are my goals with getting a graduate level degree. Having the research experience will help you to figure out that stuff for yourself before applying to graduate school. Now, this next mistake, I see people do this all the time. And honestly, I almost kind of fell into this habit whenever I started applying. And this mistake is looking at schools only based on prestige. Now, I know what you're thinking. Well, duh, Zeta, I need to look at Harvard and Duke and whatever your big name school is. Of course, that's usually where most people start looking, to be honest with you. But I'm going to let you know right now that the prestige is not everything. Because also, depending on your program, some schools are prestigious only for specific programs. So even though Harvard obviously is an amazing school, they might not have the kind of research that you want to do. These prestigious schools might be good for certain things, but they might not have the resources or the research that you are interested in. And if it's not for a PhD and say you're just going to go get a master's, I would look at programs where you are going to be happy living there. Look at schools where you actually like the area of where the school's at. Do you like the state that you'd be living in? Do you like the community? And I would try, if you can, to tour these schools and actually see, do I like the people here? Do I like the culture and the overall environment of the school? Just because a school is prestigious does not mean they offer the kind of culture and environment that you need both inside and outside the classroom. I'm not saying that you can't go to these prestigious schools or apply there, because you actually might love the culture and you might love everything that they have to offer. And so that might be a good pick for you. But I wouldn't just look at schools simply because of the name of the school and if they carry a big name, just because you might like programs that are much smaller and aren't as popular as some of the Ivy League schools out there. And so I would just consider looking at other options as well. The next mistake that I see a lot of people fall into is waiting until the last minute to ask for letters of recommendation. A lot of these professors and the people that you're going to need to ask for letters from, they get busy, and they also get a lot of other students asking them to write letters. You're usually not the first person to ask them. And so I would highly encourage you, especially if you're applying this cycle, if you haven't already reached out to your letter writers, please just send them an email requesting for them to write you a letter of recommendation for graduate school. They have lives. They are people too, and they get very busy. So if you ask them a couple weeks before applying to graduate school, as well as even if it's a month before, if you ask them, hey, I need you to write this letter and I need it done in the next week, Honestly, that's pretty disrespectful of their time, and a lot of times they'll just turn you away because they have a lot of other things on their plate. And so the respectful thing to do, if you really want a good quality letter that actually stands out and helps you get into graduate school, is ask your professors very early on for them to write your letter and just request, hey, I would appreciate if you could write a letter for me. Would you be willing to do that? And then that means if they say no, you have time to find other people to write your letters. So pro tip, do not wait for the last second to ask for a letter. Go ahead and do it now. Do it early while you can. Okay, this next one I know all too well. It was very frustrating to have to do as far as an applicant goes. It is time consuming, but it is necessary. You need to tailor every single statement of purpose when you are applying to graduate school. So each program that you apply to, you should make a separate statement of purpose that specifically targets that school and why you want to go to that specific program. Now, I know that may seem tedious because your reason for going to graduate school is probably the same no matter what program you apply to. So your overall reason for wanting to go to graduate school is obviously going to be the same and consistent throughout your application, and that's okay. But you want to, around that goal, you want to be highlighting why are you applying to that program. You shouldn't be able to copy and paste your statement of purpose for every single application portal and it be the exact same. What I usually did was I had my overall paragraph that kind of talked about my interest in research and how I got into research, as well as my career goals of becoming a professor. I kept all that the same, but majority of my statement of purpose was talking about what stood out to me about this program and why I liked that school and what I believed that school could offer me. And I also think it's important, I name dropped some professors that I could work for that I thought had very interesting work, and I talked about how I could add to their contributions and how they could help mentor me. And I kind of just talked a little bit about where I saw myself in this program and how I believed I would be a good student in that program. So I would encourage you, when you are writing your statement of purpose, to really highlight why you are applying to that program and not another program. And honestly, it doesn't have to be for some crazy reason. For example, the school that I'm going to now, one of the reasons that I put in my statement of purpose for applying there was simply the region. Kind of talked a little bit about the community that I noticed whenever I visited there and how I actually really liked just the town. And I think that's a really important reason for why a lot of people want to go to certain programs, is simply the region. And so it doesn't have to be anything crazy, but I would really try to highlight specifically what it is about that program that sparked your interest. This next mistake goes along a little bit with only applying to schools that have a big name, but it's also just only applying to dream schools or schools that are considered a reach for the amount of experience you have and your GPA. If you are only applying to schools that are very out of reach for the application you are providing, you are setting yourself up to have a very challenging application cycle. Now, I am actually all for applying to schools that are considered out of reach for you. I highly encourage actually that everyone applies to schools that they think that they would love to go to that maybe they don't feel as qualified for. Because to be honest with you, I don't even feel qualified for the school I'm attending now. My GPA was not the best. It was not a 4.0. I had a 3.6 GPA. Or a 3.58, something like that. I don't even know anymore. But I did not have a 4.0, which a lot of people believe you have to have. And I mean, my GPA wasn't that bad, but it wasn't what a lot of these programs considered was their average applicant. And I had a lot of experience, and I really honed in on the experiences that I had, but I applied to plenty of programs that were very out of reach for me. And I don't think that that's a problem at all. But you also need to have schools that you think, you know what, I have a fair shot at, and I think I fit statistically the type of students that get accepted. I think it's important to have an overall well-rounded school list that has a couple safety schools, a couple out-of-reach schools, and a couple schools that you think you are right up their alley and very competitive in. Now, creating a list like this can be kind of difficult, and so I would would really encourage you to ask some of your professors or mentors to help you make this list. Show them all the schools you're interested in and ask them reasonably, do you think I'm a good enough candidate to apply to these schools? Or do you think I should apply to some different programs? Because there were a lot of programs that were recommended to me that I didn't even know existed. There are so many programs out there that the odds that you have looked into every single one is pretty slim. But your mentor might know a program that you would be a great fit for. So when making that list, I would stray away from only putting schools that are considered dream schools and really try to create a well-rounded list for you to send applications to. The next mistake I see a lot of people make, and actually I myself made this mistake, is underestimating just how long it takes to get all of your materials ready for your application. I waited pretty late into the cycle before I started updating my CV or crafting my personal statement. I honestly waited about a month into the school semester of the fall semester last year before I actually started getting any of those things together. And I'm going to tell you right now, that is so stressful. I was extremely stressed trying to get all of these things written for my graduate school applications, just because a lot of these things, not only do they take a while just for you to make, they also take a while to get reviews and feedback from other people. So your personal statement, I would encourage you not to go in blind. I would encourage you to ask other people to read it and look at it and give you revisions. That takes time. Same thing with your CV. You should send your CV to other people. So yeah, the point I'm trying to make is these applications take a while. Going through all the different applications, all the different portals for each school takes a long time. So I would already go ahead and get a head start. Say if you're applying this cycle, you should already be crafting your personal statement now. If you haven't already, you should already be updating your CV. These are things you're gonna have to do for every program anyway. So I would go ahead and try to get drafts of all those made and sent to somebody so you can get those revisions done in a timely manner and get your application sent in early. A lot of these applications are reviewed on a rolling basis. So that means they see the earliest applications first, and then they start giving out interviews and acceptances as the application season goes on. And so I would highly encourage you to just go ahead and get started and try to send your stuff out as early as you can, because it does take a while. This next one might be a little bit touchy for some people, but I'm just going to keep it real with you. It is making the mistake of not saving money for your application cycle. These applications do cost money. Now, there is fee assistance for people who qualify where they will usually waive the cost of your application, but it does take a long time to get that approved. And so I would just go ahead, in case you don't qualify, you may not even know if you qualify, I would either look into the fee assistance early on so you can go ahead and try to get that approved early in your application, or just go ahead and save some money, because most of my applications, they ranged anywhere from $50 to $100 per application, which that racks up very fast if you are not prepared for it. Plus all of the costs for interviews. Nowadays, there's a lot of virtual interviews. So thank goodness for that. A virtual interview is free. But there are also still interviews out there for some programs that are in person. And sometimes the program will pay for your cost of travel. Sometimes they don't. So I would just prepare already for the cost of travel for whatever programs you're applying to if you get an interview invite, as well as a visitation. Some of those visitations are not paid for. Mine thankfully was for the program I'm attending, but I don't know as far as for every program if that's the case. So I would just go ahead and get a nice set of money aside just so you are prepared. If any financial situation comes up, you are able to pay for the cost associated with applying to these schools. The next mistake I want to talk about is not being organized during your application cycle. Unlike medical school, where they have an AMCAS system where all of the applications are done through one portal, when it comes to graduate school, you are going to have to apply to each and every individual program on their website. That means they all have very different deadlines. Not every program has the same deadline. And sometimes they have different deadlines for their primary application. Then they have deadlines for sending in things like transcripts or letters of recommendation. And so all that to say, it can be a hot mess if you are applying to a lot of schools. And so you need to have a system where you can keep up with every single school you're interested in applying to and all of their deadlines, what the cost associated with each school is to apply. And you need to have some sort of documentation where you can check off, okay, I sent in my primary, I sent in my transcripts, I sent in my letters of recommendation. You are going to need something where you can keep up with all of that to know what has been submitted and what has been received from each and every program and when it was received by. It can be really easy if you end up applying to five or more schools to get very overwhelmed by all of the different deadlines and all of the different things that you need to do for each school. So I would just try to make either like an Excel document, a Google Doc, whatever system works for you. Make a document where you keep up with it and check it regularly on where you are at in your application cycle and how you are progressing through each and every program. This next mistake goes along with choosing what schools to apply to, and it is not looking enough at the research faculty at that program. Honestly, when you are applying to a program, especially if you're applying for a PhD, I'm not going to speak on behalf of the master's students just because I know master's programs are a little bit different. But for me, I applied for a PhD. If you are interested in a PhD, you need to be looking at the research faculty for that program, because you should, for every program you're applying to, you should have a handful, like at least 1 to 3 faculty that you could see yourself working with. Because if you cannot see yourself working with anyone at that school, then you shouldn't be applying to that program. It just doesn't make it a good fit. The school could be a great school. They could have great research. But if you don't see yourself fitting in with any of the topics that the faculty are researching, then it's not a good fit for you. It can be a great school, but not a great school for you. And so you need to be going deep on those websites and reading what are the faculty researching, read some of their newest papers. What are they currently interested in? And are you interested in that? Do you think that you align research-wise with the faculty that that school has to offer? And that's very important because that will determine your overall success in a PhD program. So the more faculty that you see a program has that you could actually see yourself working with, the better of an opportunity you have at being successful at that program and a better fit you have at that school. And so I would highly encourage you to really consider what faculty are at that school and if you could see yourself working with them. Okay, and this last mistake is a little bit more of a personal one, but it is waiting until you feel ready to apply. I know it may make more sense for you to be thinking, well, I want to feel 100% confident before I apply to a program. I would actually encourage you, if you feel about 75% confident about applying to a program, honestly, full send it. I know that might be a little bit controversial for some people, but I know so many people who are great applicants, but they just don't feel confident in themselves, and that holds them back. I myself am one of those people. I honestly would beat myself up so much for not feeling confident or not having the most perfect stats before applying to graduate school. And I had such bad imposter syndrome thinking I am way in over my head. I am not qualified to be applying for a PhD. Maybe I should just take some time off to work on other things that I could strengthen in my application. And honestly, thinking that only holds you back. If you know for a fact that you want to go to graduate school, as long as you know that, if you're having doubts about that, then that's a different conversation. But if you know for a fact that it is a goal of yours, that you want to go to graduate school, and you know that that's important for what it is you want to do in the end, as far as a career or any sort of personal goals you have, I would just go ahead and send that application. You are not going to feel 100% ready. You are probably not going to feel 100% confident. If you do, keep doing whatever you're doing because that's awesome. But I know a lot of people always feel a little bit more like 60 or 75% confident. And I think that's enough. As long as you know that you want to do this, I would just say, you know what, do it before you're ready. You're never gonna feel ready. Most of the things that I did way before I felt ready. And then now that it's actually happening, I am so glad that I made myself do that. I am so glad that I made myself apply despite having all of the doubts and despite feeling completely unqualified to apply. I did anyway, and look where I got. So I would just say, if you know for a fact this is something you want to do, but you are just feeling a bit nervous because you just think that you don't feel ready enough, I would just try anyway. Because if it doesn't work out, that's okay. You can try again. Nobody submits a perfect application, girl. So just go ahead and send it. Send it as it is. Try your best with what you have. The stats you have is the stats you have. The story you have, the experience you have, all of that is yours. Just try your best to highlight all of those things and try your best to look for schools that you think are a good fit for you. And just put yourself out there and see how far you come, because you never know until you try. And so that's all the mistakes that I have for you guys that I wanted to highlight. And if you're applying to graduate school this year, I hope you don't make these mistakes. Take it from me, learn from me, do not make these mistakes I just went over, and good luck. You are going to do so well, and I wish nothing but the best for you. If you enjoyed this video from me, please hit a like and subscribe to this channel to support me, and I post every single Monday if you want to see more from me. And as always, I'll leave you with this: keep asking questions and stay curious.